decided one day I never wanted to be the guy in his 40s that went, oh man, I wish I would have tried it. I was like, oh, well, maybe nobody will make fun of the kid named Fluffman. So I kind of gave myself that nickname, and then it became my wrestling persona, and it was a name that just followed me through my entire life. You got to do this. You got to keep going. Even whenever you're tired, you got to keep going. Literally, we would be in high school, and me and Sean would tell people that we were going to be professional wrestlers. Because wrestling is everyone. Like, wrestling is everything. Wrestling can be anything how you see it. You're going to get put in uncomfortable situations, but it's how you react to those situations is what changes. Regardless of what you're worried about the outcome may be, is you have to commit, and as long as you believe in what you're doing. The real job I was working at the time, I went in that first day back and I quit. I put in my 2 weeks, and I was like, I'm just gonna go 100% in on wrestling.
Call it how I see it, straight talk, no disguise. So the slang dripping, got the truth in my eyes. Might like gavel, every word, lay it down. Coach C in the booth, turn the game all around. Yeah, it's Coach C, he the best for business. It's Coach C, he the best for business. Yeah, I'm sharp as attack when I call the play-by-play. Every dog got his day, and I make the crowd stay. It's every week we go live on a Wednesday. Dressing so sharp, that's the reason why your friends stay. The youngest in the game to do it, best for business. Coach C is the truth and everybody gonna witness. Love entertainment, you swear it's your destiny. Link with Coach C, we can talk about your legacy. It's Coach C, he the best for business. It's Coach C, he the best for business.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Another episode of Best for Business. I'm excited for this one. Cody Fluffman, thank you so much for joining me for this one.
Oh man, thanks for having me. I'm excited to do this.
Now, I'm excited. You've done everything, a lot of stuff in wrestling and now Banana Ball, so I'm excited to get involved. But first, I guess, let's talk pro wrestling. So what was the thing about wrestling that interests you at first about it?
So wrestling, I always grew up, enjoying wrestling. I watched it, all the way through high school. It's how I met most of my friends growing up. And I just decided one day I never wanted to be the guy in his 40s that went, oh man, I wish I would have tried it. So I was like, hey, there came a point in time where everything worked out for me to go train to be a professional wrestler. I was like, I'm just going to do it, see what happens.
Wow. So you mentioned all your buddies in high school, you were all pro wrestling fans. So what was your goal with wrestling? I know you said you didn't want to live in regret, but was your goal just to do wrestling, or how'd you look at it at first?
At first, I was just looking at it as, hey, let's just see what happens. I didn't know what was going to happen from it. I didn't know how far I could go or what I would do. But I didn't want to live with that regret of never trying it. And I think I've done pretty good for somebody who was just doing it to get it done.
So you mentioned, too, you get involved. So I'm curious, what's the approach that you make in your pro wrestling scene? Because the Carolinas is pretty unique when it comes to wrestling. There's a lot out there. So for you, how do you get involved?
So for me, it was a lot of, I just wanted to present something different, something that was more of the entertainment aspect than the wrestling, just because I'm not a super jack guy. I'm not anything out of the ordinary, I would say, but I know how to present myself to be larger than life. And I wanted to bring that to wrestling.
Wow. So what do you go for originally with Fluffman? Because in pro wrestling, like you said, everyone at first wants to be a tough guy, or you're completely different, which I love about it. So what was Fluffman, the original idea behind it?
So Fluffman was a nickname I gave myself in middle school because I used to get bullied a lot for being a bigger kid. And now it's like, well, I can't fight them because I'm not good at fighting. So I was like, how do I get past this? And I was like, oh, well, maybe nobody will make fun of the kid named Fluffman. So I kind of gave myself that nickname, and then it became my wrestling persona, and it was a name that just followed me through my entire life.
What is the inspiration when it came to pro wrestling when you first started? Because obviously people don't know right off the rip, but you already have the Fluffman identity. What were you going for when it came to pro wrestling?
So when I started wrestling, I never really looked into other wrestlers. I looked a lot into movies and TV shows that I liked. So I always said my two biggest inspirations for the Fluffman character in wrestling is if Chris Farley got the super soldier serum instead of Chris Evans, that's Fluffman. That's Captain America and Chris Farley are the two centers for the character of Fluffman.
Wow. And like, I gotta ask you one thing about Fluffman since the beginning, even now to everything you're doing with Banana Ball. Did you always have like this confidence? Because especially in Banana Ball, interacting with the fans, being in front of an audience, did you always have it? If not, how did you gain it? Because it's not an easy trait to have right off the rip.
Show it off a little bit. No, I 100% did not have the confidence. You see my little dog sleeping too. His name's Cooper. Did not have the confidence to do any of this. I never thought I would be a lot. Like the day I decided to go to wrestling training, I was working at a pharmacy in Walgreens, and I saw the school open up, and I was like, I'm just going to quit my job and move to a different state and go train. I was like, let's see what happens. But I definitely, the building the confidence, it took time. It was definitely a time situation to build that confidence and get more comfortable with being me and figuring out really who I was.
Was there like a defining moment, or was it just like the reps over the years?
Definitely the reps, and it came a lot from just learning and talking with a bunch of people. I credit Billy Brash, the man who trained me. He definitely helped me figuring out that confidence and bringing the true me out. Because anybody that knows Billy, it knows that Billy is a very stand on business kind of guy, and he helped me get that. Dang, I just lost the word. Get that confidence.
Yeah. Is there like a lesson that sticks out learning from Billy after all these years that still sticks out to you?
It's to always keep going. Like there were so many times where we were training and we were doing something that might have been a little more physical for me at the time, but he would always push me, be like, "Hey, you got to do this. You got to keep going. Even whenever you're tired, you got to keep going." Like one of the first matches we ever had with him, I was so out of breath, but the whole entire time I'm throwing punches on him. He's like, "Come on, you got to keep going. You got to give it to me." And so Billy's really given me that mindset of no matter how tired or no matter how weak I may feel, I got to keep going and I got to give it 100% because this is the time to do it.
Wow. So for a guy who's done a lot in pro wrestling, I'm curious to you personally, what would you consider like that first big opportunity when it comes to pro wrestling? Whether it was a match or an opponent or something that sticks out to you or a company?
Big first opportunity I really remember like feeling like, oh wow, I'm doing something was April of 2024. Sean Legacy and I went to the UK. It was his second time going overseas, but it was my first time ever leaving the country. And to say I'm leaving the country to go do professional wrestling was such a cool moment for me. And it was like, hey, look, like, look what I've done. I've done enough that people outside of the state I'm living in would want to see me and they want to use me. So that I really put that as my, oh, this is my moment. Cause I also too, when we landed back from that UK trip, the real job I was working at the time, I went in that first day back and I quit. I put in my 2 weeks and I was like, I'm just going to go 100% in on wrestling.
Wow. So I gotta ask you, first when we talk about the UK, how was it there compared to the States? Like, did the crowds react to different things? Or the crowds like more rowdier? Like, how was the experience compared to wrestling in the States for the UK?
Wrestling in the UK was so cool. The fans there are very, very different. They are very, they can be a little more high energy. There were some shows where they were all about it, and then there were some shows they were there just to watch and enjoy. But just the outside of the fans, the people that I got to meet and got to hang out with and got to work with were some of the most genuine people, and it's just really cool to see to go to a different country and see, oh, okay, there's not much different in wrestling other than the people that are in it.
Wow. You mentioned going on the UK tour, you go with Sean Legacy. So originally, what's the idea behind the tag team with Sean Legacy originally?
So Sean and I, friends in high school, we grew up together.
Wow.
We've been friends for so long. Yeah. Literally, we would be in high school, and me and Sean would tell people that we were going to be professional wrestlers, and then everybody would be like, go up to Sean and be like, "Hey, you like, you really think Fluff's going to be a professional? Like, look, he's not." He's not, because even Sean he wasn't as jacked as he is now, but he was still like a pretty muscular guy in high school. So a lot of people would be like, oh, but Cody, I don't know. But then, we would hang out, we would talk like, hey, what if one day we were like a tag team? Wouldn't that be so cool? Yeah, dude. And then we just like, oh, we call ourselves the Buff and Fluff Connection. We said that in our friend's front yard. We were in high school. We were like, oh, that'd be such a cool name, blah, blah, blah. And then, years down the road, everything worked out for us to start tagging. And when we talked about it, we were like, hey, so do you remember we said we would be the Buff and Fluff connection. What if we do that again? And like, what if that's our tag name? What if we do it? And it kind of just, we decided on it and it stuck, and that was our name.
Wow. For a guy who went to high school with them, for you personally, what's that been like to just see Shawn Legacy rise, especially in this past year and everything he's done in pro wrestling, especially?
Man, the second he got that ID contract, it was a no-brainer for me. I mean, even whenever they announced that whole ID program, I was like, Sean is the example of what they want out of that program. And just getting to see what he's doing and the path he's on now with going from Evolve and now he's in NXT, like getting to watch him on Tuesdays is such a cool feeling. And just getting to see somebody that you know and somebody that you're close with and seeing them succeed, it makes me very, very happy.
Yeah. So you mentioned originally you started as Fluffman. It was this nickname that you had growing up. Was there like a moment or a realization or something where you added Cody Fluffman, becoming Cody?
Well, Cody's my real name. Like
Okay.
Cody's my first name. It always has been. But I changed my last name to Fluffman. And
Okay.
so in high school, I would go by like middle school, high school, I would go by Cody Fluffman. Like every people when I graduated and they said my real name, they're like, "Your last name's not Fluffman." Like, so Cody has just been my name since I was born. That was the name that was given to me. And in wrestling, sometimes people will just say Fluffman. Sometimes people put Cody Fluffman. It never really makes a difference to me because I'm still the same whether my first name's there or not.
Wow. So one thing you mentioned when you talk about coming back from the UK, you're all in on pro wrestling. Was there like just like a moment, or how did the conversation happen for you to decide like you're gonna quit your job and go all in on pro wrestling? Because a lot of people say like that's the hopes and dreams, but you went all in on yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was just realizing that it was obtainable. Like being in the UK, being in another country, I remember we were just sitting in our Airbnb and I was laying there and I was just thinking myself, talking to myself. And if I can go to another country for, a week and a half and wrestle, why can't I go home and just wrestle? And it's something I think about too, but I think just going to a different country and performing and and being successful in the week and a half we were there, it kind of just gave me that confidence that maybe I can do this. Maybe I can pursue wrestling as a full-time thing. And yeah, everything just worked out for me in the end, I guess.
Wow. So when you mention companies, especially in your area, one that sticks out, how did the opportunity originally come for Action Wrestling?
Oh, so Action was one of the first companies that whenever I decided I needed to branch out more and go to more, Action Wrestling was one of the first ones. And I knew they did this, they did a show before the show, and it was called Next Up. I believe I'm saying that. I believe I have that name right.
Yeah.
But it was just anybody who came in and helped set up the ring or help put out chairs like an hour before the doors open, they would have wrestling matches. So they'd pair you up with random people. And for like 2 months straight, 4 months straight, I was wrestling different people from WWA 4 because there's a lot of those guys. All of those guys are amazing too. They're really cool, really great people. And I was just working with them. And then one day, Matt, the promoter for Action Wrestling, decided, he was like, "Hey, I don't really do pre-shows, but we're going to throw you out in a pre-show before the show." I was like, "Okay." And I found out after that they don't do pre-show matches. He told me afterwards that he was like, "I never do pre-show matches," but he said, seeing me, he was like, "I got to get this guy out in front of people like as soon as possible."
Wow.
And so I was in a couple pre-show matches for Action Wrestling, and then slowly I just started building up. And yeah, I got to do a lot of really cool things with Action. I got to have a lot of really cool moments, and yeah, Action Wrestling was great. They were great people.
Is there like a match that sticks out from your time before Action Wrestling when you were part of Next Up? Because like you said, you didn't even know you were wrestling WWA 4. It didn't matter who.
So one of my first Next Up matches was with Eddie Hendricks,
Okay.
and that was the first match because it was before then I had only wrestled people that I was like comfortable with, like people I knew, people I'd hung out with, people I talked to. Wrestling him was the first time I ever really like wrestled a stranger. Like it was somebody I didn't know, but he took care of me. We talked about, so much. And then we had the match and it was so much fun. He was so easy to work with. And then that kind of started everything with me doing the Next Up matches and getting the Action like pre-shows, and then eventually getting on the main show to fighting Alex Kane for the the World Heavyweight Championship with Action, because it is a world title. They defended it in Germany.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Eddie Hendricks was the first next up match I had, and it kind of just took off from there. So shout out Eddie Hendricks.
Wow. How was it wrestling Alex Kane? Because at that time, too, he was on the rise.
Yeah. So Alex Hayne was great to work with. He
Yeah.
was so much fun. He had great ideas, and it was just easy to flow. Like with Alex, like nothing was ever nothing was ever like stop start with him. It was very much just we were able to work through all of it and get to the end. He was just really great, really easy to work with.
Nice. So when you mentioned Eddie Hendricks, you talk about he was like the first person you weren't that familiar with or comfortable with at first because you weren't really introduced. When you started in wrestling or just in general, how is like the wrestling scene around you, whether it's the Carolinas or Georgia? How is there like a lot of indies out there? How is it for you over there?
So there is a lot of indies, but for me, I just did. Whenever I first started wrestling, I wasn't traveling as much as I should have.
Okay.
I was comfortable staying in what I knew, and what I've really learned with wrestling is that if you whatever you want in wrestling, you have to go out and get it. That's another thing, like Billy would say in training, is you'll only ever get out of wrestling what you put into it. So the amount of effort or the amount of work that you do is what you'll get back from wrestling. And I was content with just staying wrestling the same four promotions I was working, and I would travel here and there, but I think it also was just a lot of not being confident in myself. I'm thinking, oh, well, like I could go there, but like they wouldn't use me or anything like that. So it definitely took the confidence of just being able to like, hey, I can go somewhere and be somebody regardless of what they think of me. And then if I go there and they don't want to use me or they don't see that in me, then that's perfectly fine. Because I know the character of Fluffman is not everybody's cup of tea. It's not, I don't want to say it's not wrestling because wrestling is everyone. Like
Yeah.
wrestling is everything. Wrestling can be anything how you see it. There's definitely wrong ways to do stuff, but there's no right way to do anything in wrestling. So I think also building up that confidence and just getting that more belief in myself and having the support system around me to say, hey, you have something, you can do this, and then just going out and doing it.
Wow. If you had to describe it, how has Cody Fluffman evolved from like your first match to now? Because at first, originally, you said pro wrestling was a passion, it was something you didn't want to
Oh,
regret.
brother.
But to eventually going all out and like quitting your job and focus on wrestling, to you, what's that transformation been like?
Yeah. So when I first started in wrestling, I had a frat gimmick. I was still Cody Fluffman. But then I wore khaki pants. I had the cut off polo shirt. I came out with the red cup. My first ever match, I came out with a paddle. I never used it again. I'm pretty sure it's somewhere in this room. But yeah, I had the backwards hat that said Fluffman. I had short hair. I didn't have the hair I have now. It was the short, pushed over to the side, super. Yeah, like and then I did that for a year probably, and then COVID happened, and everything shut down. And then I remember just sitting around, and as everything was starting to come back up, open back up, people were starting to like run more shows. Wrestling
Mhm.
was starting back up again. I was like, man, I would look online and I saw all of these transformations that people had during the quarantine, and seeing people who were kind of chubby or kind of bigger guys, and then by the end of it going back into wrestling, they're shredded or they just had lost a lot of weight. And I would notice that people were changing as we were coming back, and I was like, oh, this is my chance to do something different. This is my chance to do something that's different from what I'm doing. And I wanted to get away from the frat gimmick anyways. I wanted to get rid of the khaki shorts. I wanted to switch to gear. And then that was whenever I decided, okay, instead of the polo shirt and the khaki shorts, I'm gonna do some high waisted trunks and I'm gonna do a crop top t shirt. And during quarantine, I grew my hair out, and then one day, this girl was giving out haircuts. She was like, "You want a haircut?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." She was like, "What do you want?" I was like, "I don't know." And someone was like, "Do a mullet," and I was like, "Cool, do a mullet." And then yeah, I never cut my hair ever since.
Wow.
Eventually, it changed. I got more of the faux hawk now. It was originally just like I kept the side part with the mullet in the back, and then I was like, whenever I quit my job and went on to wrestling, I was like, I'm just gonna do full faux hawk all the time.
Wow.
Uh, so yeah, then it changed it to the faux hawk into the mullet. But and then I started thinking with this character of like being the, or I heard a lot online of people using the term body positivity, and I really like that because it's not. I think it gets misconstrued a lot with people saying, "Oh, body positivity is just uh, encouraging unhealthy lifestyles." And I've always looked at being body positive of being happy with who you are, as long as you are as long as you are that like healthy and you can do things. Like it doesn't health isn't one particular look. Health is like you. It's if you're healthy.
Yeah.
And like I keep up to date on all of my things, and I'm good on everything. And I may be a bigger guy, but I'm not unhealthy. I may have some bad habits here or there, but who doesn't have bad habits?
Hmm.
But I really wanted to take not control, but I wanted to use that and spread that message of being just happy with who you are, as long as you're not a detriment to yourself or the people around you.
Wow, yeah. You mentioned during the pandemic you made that switch, but for you in wrestling, how was the pandemic when it comes to your area? Was shows running or was they doing the mass or how did they do it for you?
So we had a couple shows that ran. Like I did one show for company RIP PWX.
Hmm.
The RIP was rest in peace. It wasn't also a promotion.
Yeah.
Uh, but PWX, they did a show during quarantine, and they were very they took precautions on everything. Like we were all separated outside. They had sanitation crews that would clean the ring in between matches. They had a canvas for like a new canvas for every single match. And we had the mask and everything. They took very good care of us, and they took control of the situation. But like we had that. But other than that, there wasn't a lot of stuff that was running in my area. So it really was like we took a break or at least for me, I took a break from wrestling in that time.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I wasn't traveling a lot. I wasn't doing anything outside of like South Carolina, like even South Carolina, North Carolina. Like I stayed in there. I didn't even go to Georgia. From there, I didn't wrestle in Georgia until about 3 years, 2 or 3 years after I started wrestling.
Wow.
Uh, so that was really, I just took that break from wrestling. And then as wrestling started to come out, that's whenever I decided, okay, I need to change. Everything's changing. I need to change with it. I don't want to be still just doing the same thing I was doing, 8 months ago.
Yeah. When you mention companies, is there a match from Pro Wrestling Turbo that stands out?
Oh man, I I love Pro Wrestling Turbo.
Yeah.
I love those guys. I've had great matches. One of my more recent matches I had with BK Westbrook. That was my first match back from. I hadn't been there in so long. But had a I quit match with, or no, a last man standing match with Big Game James. That match was so much fun. Um, Me and Sean getting to tag there countless times. We did a 6-man tag with Bojack against the Kingsgate at the time,
Hmm.
which seeing all them now is great. And then, yeah, me and really any Sean it's match that Sean and I were just able to go out and be us and do our thing. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, Pro Wrestling Turbo, it's one of those promotions that holds a special place in my heart.
You've mentioned Sean all conversation. Is there like a Buff and Fluff match that stands out? Somebody who's brand new to the tag team that you point him to?
Oh man, I gotta think about this one. I might say a couple names as
Yeah,
we're
absolutely.
going, but Sean and I had great matches in. We've had great matches in action wrestling. We wrestled again BK and Eric Royal. We've gotten to wrestle them. Um, we got to. Oh wait, no, BK and Eric Royal was up in North Carolina. I wrestled. Who do we wrestle that one tag match? Dang, because I was even tagging with Ella at that match I'm thinking of with BK and Eric.
Hmm.
Um, so a lot of matches we had in our matches in viral wrestling where we were the tag champs. We got to wrestle Jackson Drake and Alexander Lev. Those were really good tag matches. Any tag match we got to have with Better Together we knew it was going to be so much fun. I love those guys. Any match that we did with IWE, we had like a best of 5 series. It felt like with Exotic Youth, which I don't think it was ever billed as like a best of 5 or best of 7 or whatever. We just wrestled them all the time.
Wow.
And I'm trying to think who anybody else I'm missing. Yeah, no, I can't really think of any other names that come or anything else that comes to mind. But definitely, anytime we got to wrestle, Better Together, Exotic Youth. When Kingsgate was around, we wrestled Patrick Scott and Chance Riser a lot. Two
Wow.
great guys.
Yeah.
We've also wrestled. Dang, yeah, I might think of some later.
Yeah.
like as we're talking more. But those are definitely some of the ones that come to mind right now.
And when we talk about coming to mind, when I was doing my research on you, it doesn't happen that often in the indies, but for you, how was the opportunity to get into do a War Games match? I think it was for IWE. How was that opportunity getting to do? Because you don't really see that stuff in the indies.
Yes. I do. Yeah, you don't really see it a lot, but that was a lot of fun. We didn't get because of the venue, we didn't get the full War Games experience with
Mhm.
the 2 rings and the big cage and everything. But still, just that match alone was a lot of fun, and getting to do it with so many people who I not only like consider friends, but people I look up to, and yeah, that was just a really really fun moment and a really cool thing that IWE put on.
Yeah. And when you talk about Cody Fluffman and the people you got to wrestle, especially at that time I was doing my research, Cruel was huge at the time when you were wrestling him. How was it? You talk about
Yeah,
big guy versus big guy. Obviously, he has the hype, but how was it wrestling Cruel?
man, Cruel wrestling him was something that was so different for me because I never wrestled anybody like him before.
Yeah.
We got to have that match at PWF. PWF was another promotion that I hold near and dear to my heart because of the run I got to have with them. And them giving me these kind of matches, like getting to wrestle Cruel, is also the first time I'd ever had a weapon or anything used on me. I
Wow.
took a gusset plate to the chest after the match, which was like I because of who Cruel is, and I trust him so much. I was comfortable with anything that he wanted to do, and so that was definitely a match that was very out of my element. But I knew the person I was in was going to take care of me.
Nice. So you talk about pro wrestling, especially recently. How does the opportunity come for MLW for Cody Fluffman?
So MLW was really cool. I got a message from the guy who booked it at the time. They were wrestling in the Carolinas. It was in Charleston, South Carolina, and they needed somebody who was licensed. And I was already licensed because I had wrestled in for Pro Wrestling Turbo before, and they run South Carolina. And South Carolina is one of the few states where you have to have a license to be a wrestler.
Hmm.
So you have to get a physical done. You got to pay X amount of money to the athletic like commissioner, and then you get a license that allows you to wrestle in the state. Uh, but they needed a licensed wrestler. I was already licensed, so they didn't have to pay for me or pay anything to get me licensed. So, and then they brought me on. I got to wrestle another guy who helped me a lot with wrestling and growing and like just growing as a person with Drew Adler, somebody I hold in a very, very high regard. And yeah, getting to just have a match with him on this bigger stage. And it was also our first time ever having a dark match for a major company. So, and getting to have that moment together too was really, really cool. And yeah, MLW was a great experience. And then getting to work with them again in Florida for the Battle Riot was also really cool. Like being in there with people who I've watched on TV before and just like, oh, now we're just in a ring together. This is cool. This is weird, but
Yeah.
it was such a fun experience, and yeah, MLW was a lot of fun.
Wow. So when you mention pro wrestling, you've mentioned a lot of names, but to you personally, who would you say brings the best out of Cody Fluffman in the ring? Because you've got to wrestle a lot of people, at a lot of different companies, but to you, who brings the best out of you?
Drew Adler for sure. Drew
Yeah.
Adler is another kind of those guys. He's like Billy, where he'll push me to my limits because I think I know my limits, but people like Billy Brash and Drew Adler, they actually know my limits and they'll push me to that. Anytime Sean and I got to wrestle, whether it was in tag or the handful of single matches him and I have had together, another person who would push me to that limit and bring the best out of me. A guy I wrestled early in my career and I would love to do more with. Owen Knight was somebody who really brought the best out of me, especially at the beginning, because him and I were inseparable. At it felt at some points, um, but yeah, definitely, Drew Adler, Owen Knight, Billy Brash. Anytime I've gotten to wrestle BK Westbrook, he's another guy who will bring everything out of me because I'm trying to match him because he's at such this level, and I'm like, oh, I got to get to there, and then he'll pull that out. But yeah, I would those are the four that definitely come to mind, and Sean as
Yeah.
well, whether in tag or in that singles.
And you talk about Sean. I was doing my research. I was unfamiliar about this. I figured out when it happened. But you talk about wrestling in the Carolinas and Georgia. How does chaotic wrestling happen down here in New England from Massachusetts?
Oh yeah. So whenever I quit, or right before I quit my job, I was starting to travel more, and I was going up north a lot. And Sean was getting booked at Wrestle Open and Chaotic and everything, and I was like, I'll just hop in the car with you. We'll go. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I got to wrestle for Chaotic Wrestling. I tagged with Seabass, such a great dude as well. And yeah, we just got to have a lot of fun up there. Coastal is definitely another promotion I would love to come back to and wrestle for again. I had so much fun when I'm up north, and just the whole scene up north is so cool. It's that realization that wrestling's wrestling everywhere. It's just the people that are in it are different, and so I just love meeting all the different peoples, the different characters, the different stories and all that. Like the up north wrestling is a lot of fun. And it's something I definitely want to do more when the off season comes up this year.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So you talk about the off season. You mentioned having fun. So a company that's been taken over and having so much fun in general for you. How does Cody Fluffman even get involved with Banana Ball at first?
All right, so one of the first ever Mananas for the Savannah Bananas, which for those that don't know, the Mananas are the dad bod cheerleading squad. We're the hype crew for the Savannah Bananas. One of their first members from wrestling was Radbod Mikey. Radbod's another guy who I knew. I used to watch him wrestle at my indie promotion when I was 16. We
I
would
used
go
to
to this
watch him
show
when I
called
was
Flatline
12.
for Wrestling. You used to watch Flatline too?
Yeah, oh yeah. I used to
Dude,
watch
that's
Ugly
awesome.
Ducklings all the time. I loved
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. So that's where I first met Mikey. That's where I first met Rob Killjoy. That's where I first met Billy Brash. I got to see all those guys, and eventually, from wrestling and me and Mikey staying connected, he got hired on with the Savannah Bananas. And after his run, him and another man who was hired from wrestling, the young professor, a ring announcer out of Florida, he was the hype man for the Bananas as well. He was on the mic. He was their show coordinator, or like the broadcast, or not the broadcast, but the host of the Bananas.
Hmm.
And after their first season, they were like, "Man, we really need to. I think we have something here with getting wrestlers uh, and bringing them into Banana Ball, because it's people that already know how to work a crowd, and they know how to interact with fans and separate like being on a field and being like with the fans." So having those people that already have like people skills and know how to work a crowd and know how to present themselves on this larger stage for, at the time hundreds, but now millions of people that see us every weekend. Uh, from the story I heard was that they were having the conversation like, well, who's somebody else we could bring in from wrestling for the Mananas? And my name was one of the first names that they were like, oh yeah, we should totally get Cody Fluffman in on this. And at my time, wrestling wise, that got hired on for the Mananas, it was me. I got brought on, and then the Cheese, another wrestler down in Florida, he got brought on, and then the Space Cowboy, Stacey Alexander. Us three were all hired in at the same time to be Mananas, and it's just three guys who were from wrestling, and now we're in Banana Ball, and then that's blown up since, because now we have on the Mananas wrestling wise, we have the Young Professor, we have Radbod, we have me. We have Stacey Alexander, and then on the firefighters, they have the Calendar Crew, which is their your generic buff guy firefighter dudes, and they have Jamie Stanley, Mikey Spandex, Pat Smith. They have Ray Jazz, James Alexander, and then now they have two. They have two girls on there now. Who J Rod, she's a wrestler, and then Miss April, and she competed in the new season of American Gladiator.
Yeah.
And then it turned into the Party Animals. They have Keith Mack, Stunt Marshall, CB Suave, and now the Hooligans. They have Loco Beach Coconuts have
Yeah.
the Hooligans, which has Aaron Nova and Keikoa, and then Falaba is one of the Hooligans, which working with him now is insane, because another guy, I'm like, oh, dude, I used to watch you on TV. I loved you. And then now we're working together. And then, trying to make sure I missed the Tailgaters. They have the Beefy Boys, which now has the Kazana brothers, and, the Beef Daddy Thoroughbred. They got him now too with the Beefy Boys. And then the Clowns are our newest team, and they have just recently signed Sidney Akeem, who was Reggie in WWE.
Hmm.
He's now their acrobatics coach, and he's out there doing the flips and everything on the field. And he like just seeing everybody from wrestling come in, and then like also on the Party Animals, the host AJ Kirsch, he was a wrestler, and
Yeah.
he's gotten to do so many cool things. He cut a promo on The Rock. None of us
Yeah.
have gotten to do that. He got to cut a promo on The Rock. Like just seeing everybody come into wrestling, like come from wrestling, and now we all get to be on this banana ball platform has been just a cool thing to see, but also just be a part of. It's been awesome.
Yeah, and a lot of those names I've had conversations with. Actually, today the conversation with Coco is going to drop, but everyone likes to tell me about their audition videos. So I'm curious for you, Cody Fluffman, what was your audition video like?
So I filmed my audition video at a promotion called Classic City Wrestling in Athens, Georgia.
Hmm.
Another promotion I hold near and dear to my heart because we got to do just a lot of cool things. And they had just, Classic City was one of those promotions that just was doing things differently, but in the right way of
Okay.
doing a wrestling show and a concert at the same time. And then having those bands be a part of the show, whether they're playing they're playing the guys out or them just playing a set during intermission, and just Classic City was just always been doing things differently, but in the best way. And I love Classic City. But before one of their shows, I was in, it was the 40 Watt in Athens. I Sean helped me film it, and I filmed a video. I was like, oh, blah blah blah. My name's Cody Fluffman, and here's my audition video to be a part of the Bananas. And I was like, oh, let me get into something a little more comfortable. And I put my hand over the camera, and then I brought it back. I had my pom poms in my hand, and I was wearing a crop top T-shirt, and I had my shorty shorts on, and I was doing everything. I was like, yeah, well, but, and then I was like, oh, but hold on, I got to get ready for something else. And I put the pom pom over the camera, and then cut back, and then here I was in my wrestling gear. And we timed it where as I pulled the pom pom back, I'm in my wrestling gear. I was like, hold on, I got to do something. I throw the pom pom, hit the curtain, and I just do my entrance for the show.
Wow.
And like the crowd's going crazy for me. Like Fluffman chant started everything. And I do this, my number one move. I do it now in Banana Ball, but the number one move that always got people going was in my entrance. I get up on the middle rope and I'd hit a pose, and everybody go, and I'd jump down, and I'd hurt my back. And then everybody get concerned for a second. I'm like, my back hurts. And then I just start twerking. And every single time the place would erupt, it would go crazy. But that's my favorite thing because it will always get a reaction. And now going from doing that in front of, hundreds of people at a wrestling show to now, I recently did that in front of 102,000 people at Texas A&M's football stadium. So, yeah, and it gets the same reaction. It's great.
Yeah. You mentioned originally when you were one of the first people suggestive of the man is how was it making the transition? Because obviously you talk about the entertainment and working with the audience, so it's still like sports entertainment in that way. But for you, how was it making the transition of Banana Ball?
So the biggest transition was just getting comfortable with being uncomfortable because it was something I'd never done before.
Mhm.
And that's another like line from Billy is just being comfortable with being uncomfortable because that's all any of this is like you're going to get put in uncomfortable situations, but it's how you react to those situations is what changes you. And so I had to just be ready for something different. And I kind of felt at the time that uh, I wanted to take a break from wrestling anyways. And with the schedule that we have with the Bananas, it's just hard to take bookings while the season's going on because we're gone almost every weekend, and then I'm flying out every Wednesday or Thursday. I'm only really home 2 days a week,
Hmm.
so kind of making that decision that wrestling was going to take a little bit of a back seat, but getting to do this opportunity, getting to do something else that was a was a bigger opportunity, and knowing that this can actually help with my wrestling down the road. It was definitely getting comfortable with that, and then just understanding what the goal is with Banana Ball. And our goal is to entertain the fans, and whether that's in whether we're I'm putting on a match in front of people, or I'm on a dugout swinging my shirt, doing a little fist pump dance that we do on the dugout. Like we got to entertain these fans. But it was really just getting used to that or understanding that like life was just going to change and being okay with that.
Yeah. So jumping from the Bananas, you have done some crazy things. So especially being a fan of pro wrestling, the first thing, what was it like when you saw yourself in the PWI?
Oh man, that was really cool. It was funny. I always said I got to do more in my first year of Banana Ball than I ever got to do in wrestling, and it was stuff I tried so hard for in wrestling. And then 1 year in Banana Ball, I got to do, I got to do it, and one of them was being in the PWI. I tried so hard, like for so long, you wanted to be in that
Mm.
PWI top 500 list, like everybody, or top 400. Everybody wants to be in that list, but then never getting it, and then joining the Bananas and getting a whole article written about us with my face on there 3 separate times. I'm pretty sure I have the magazine on my bookshelf back there.
Yeah.
It was so cool, and then like getting to going to a bookstore and trying to find the magazine like you're a kid again, and then getting to open it up and seeing you, it was so cool. And then getting to do the interview with those guys and just talk with them and hang out is a lot of fun. And yeah, it was definitely like a man. I wrestled for 5 years trying to get in this magazine. I was in Banana Ball for 6 months, and boom, there I am.
Now, I don't know the distance of how long you were in there, but for you, obviously, you talk about being a fan. To have like your own figure in some way, the Potassium Pals, what has that been like
Yeah.
like obviously people have their goals in pro wrestling, being PWI, have figures, but for you to see this like come to real life, like how was that for you?
Those little figures are awesome, man. That was I credit all that to Stacey Alexander. He was the front runner on getting those figures made and getting the whole brand of like the Potassium Pals made. Because now we kind of use it started as just like, oh, the Bananas who are, or like the guys who are wrestlers, they're the Potassium Pals, like that's our name outside. But now it's really turned into like anybody in Banana Ball that's a wrestler, you're considered like a Potassium Pal. And it's just this like it's not anything that we like supermarket. Like Radbod and I are doing we do a lot of stuff together, and we bill ourselves after the Potassium Pals, and we tell people they can put that on there. But it's kind of just been this group of the wrestlers inside Banana Ball. And but yeah, Stacy was the originator on that, and he pushed everything. And then seeing those little figures, like my old boss of the job that I quit when I got back from the UK, he got 3 of those figures, and now he has those figures, and then all my trading cards that I've had made, he has them just hanging up in his office.
Wow.
And that's really cool to see too, because like they could have, whenever I did quit that job, was like, hey, I'm just going to wrestle full time. They easily could have been like, all right, well, you're done. Like we don't need anything. Like we don't want anything to do with you now because you don't work for us. But then just still getting to kind of have that friendship with them and seeing that support and seeing the support from so many people is just it's such a cool thing. But yeah, getting those little figures, like my dad has one too, and yeah, it's really really cool.
Is there, especially being around him, is there like a lesson that sticks out learning from Jesse Cole, just being around him after all this time?
The biggest thing I've learned from Jesse Cole is
Yeah.
just like sometimes you just got to do it. Like regardless of what you're worried about the outcome may be, is you have to commit, and as long as you believe in what you're doing, it's uh it's gonna work out. And you have to have that confidence in it to work out. He posted a video earlier today where I believe it was earlier today or late last night, where he showed in his hotel room, and he had a stack of like probably 100 books, it looked like, and he had 2 baskets of banana balls. He was like, I need to sign all of these before my speech, before I go give my speech tomorrow. And he would talked about, we need to change our mindset sometimes of like, we don't have to do any of this. We get to do this. Like, I don't have to sign these baseballs and these books. I get to sign these baseballs and these books. And that's how I've looked at a lot of stuff. And hearing him say that is kind of like the affirmation has been really cool. But yeah, really just believing in yourself even when nobody else does is probably the biggest thing I've taken from Jesse, and getting to
Yeah.
talk with him and learn from him.
And looking at Cody Fluffman, especially, I don't know if it was when you started with Banana Ball, but were you always big with doing content on social media? Because that's one thing that stands out about you. I see now you have like a lot of free time. Mikey was telling me when you're at stadiums and things like that, but you've been killing it with the content.
Yeah, so again, it was something that I didn't really do in wrestling. I should have done,
Mm.
but I just didn't because I didn't have that confidence in myself at the time. I didn't believe that anybody wanted to watch any of the content I put out. And then starting whenever I started really getting it, like when I made wrestling my full time gig and I was traveling with Sean a lot, Sean and I would do a lot of videos as promos, but we were like, how do we make our promos different and we always looked into doing them as skits instead of like promo. Instead of like, oh, this Saturday you got to do blah blah blah. Like instead of that, we always looked at it as, oh, what's a funny bit we could do that ends with us talking about the wrestling match or talking about the show. And that was our mindset a lot. Like I did for PWF, I cut a promo, and I don't know if you're a fan of the show. I think you should leave.
Okay, I've never heard of it,
But
but yeah.
in there is uh, there's a skit that he's a lawyer for a company, and he's like, has this ever happened to you? And it's explaining this like super like detailed event, like these people come in and they change your toilet to, it has a hole only big enough for like, it's a joke toilet, so you can't actually use it. And then they start jumping on your furniture and everything. And I was like, oh man, that would be a great promo. So for PWF, leading into my first match with Ryan Gallione, he was the PWF undisputed champion at the time. It was one of my first title matches for them. I cut the promo and was like, has this ever happened to you? And I literally told my whole entire story of me starting at PWF, leading all the way up to me getting to wrestle Ryan. And it, like, just getting to change how you do things and how you present it, and just being trying to be different from, and figuring, or trying to be different but being you. And I feel like that's the best way to stand out, is just being you and doing the stuff you enjoy. And I love comedy skits, I love anything like that. So getting to do the skits as our promos just to be different, it was just so much fun. And then playing off Sean, like, because we've known each other and me and him have such a similar mind when it comes to videos like that, getting to play off of each other was always so fun. Even though he dogs me all the time that we have to do so many takes, because I break so easily, especially with him, because he does stuff he tries to say that it's all on me. He does stuff on purpose to break me.
Yeah.
He will lie about it still, but he does. But yeah, doing the skits, and just now with the Bananas, we have all this time, and the social media is a very big aspect to what we do. It's how a lot of people get to see us, and it's how a lot of people get to follow us. And so I knew when starting this, I was like, okay, I have to be consistent. I got to just do it. And I have some weeks where I'm like, oh, I'm just not going to post anything today. I still have those times, but definitely just trying to be more consistent, trying to be more me, and just presenting myself to this bigger platform so people can know me and get to almost like interact with me more.
Wow. So you've been killing it since being part of Banana Ball and Pro Wrestling, but I'm curious, especially in the offseason or even right now, what does the future hold for Cody Fluffman? Like you said, with wrestling in the offseason, you're going to start taking it off again, but Banana Ball, you're killing it. So what does the future hold, you'd say, for you?
Right now, I don't have anything planned. I mean, other than this, I know this will probably come on after, but I'm flying to Knoxville today, and the Friday before our show at Neyland Stadium in Tennessee, we're doing a show with the Kazanas. They run a show in Knoxville. I'm going to be wrestling on it with Radbot as my manager, and kind of just trying to incorporate myself more into more wrestling, and then just being ready to go whenever that off season comes. I definitely want to travel up north more. I would love to wrestle a lot more up north, maybe out west. I've never wrestled out west. Definitely would love to wrestle in Canada, and I've even been thinking about possibly going to the UK again. I think that would be a lot of fun as well. I would love to go back over there, even if it's not even necessarily the UK, maybe like going over to Germany somewhere. I would definitely love to go wrestle out of the country again.
Nice. Well, Cody, I can't thank you enough for joining me. What a conversation. However, every conversation I've done is ended the same. Now, when it's all said and done, and whether it's pro wrestling or Banana Ball in general, what do you want the legacy of Cody Fluffman to be?
I would love for my legacy just to be a guy who was him all the way through and gave people that confidence to be themselves. Because for so long, like I tried to be somebody else, or I tried to be, somebody I'm not. And for so long, I really didn't even know who I was. But getting into wrestling and forcing myself to get out of my comfort zone, and then now going to Banana Ball and doing that same thing, and now just a bigger crowd. I would love for just, if people would take anything away from me, I would love for it to just be how to be you, and always being you, always being, the best you can be. And then, just always being comfortable with who you are.
Nice. Well, Cody, once again, it was a long shot reaching out to you, but thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it.
Oh, no, thank you, Chris. Anytime, man. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you again. You have a story career, so maybe down the line we do a part 2 or something like that.
Maybe. I'd be down. I'd definitely be down, dude.
Let's
This
do
was
it.
a lot of fun.
Thank you so much for doing this, and thank you everybody for watching this episode. This was Best for Business.
Thank you for watching this episode of Best for Business. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, because this is Best for Business.